Hi, it's Anna. Thanks for joining me today. Today, I am going to be sharing a conversation that I had with my dear friend, Suzie Juul. She is a wonderful singer-actor here in the Twin Cities, and we talk about a lot of things. We dive a little bit into some of her vocal training, which this is not a vocal vlog, but we do talk a little bit about that. And we dive into things about rejection and body image, which is something that I actually want to have kind of like a whole episode about. I hope you enjoy this conversation that I have with her. So this is Suzie.
Hello.
Suzie Juul. We met doing Mary Poppins like a few months ago, and she's awesome. She's an awesome singer, actor. And she does like really interesting, you do like interesting things, like you want to do like writing as well, like playwriting, and you're a musical theater person, but you kind of are into opera as well.
Yep.
So what has been like your journey to like get to like where you are in your career?
Oh gosh. Well, it's been a lot. I mean, I started auditioning for community theaters, just musicals mostly, when I was 18. And I started booking those shows. It was really fun. And then I just kept going, you know, I want to do more. I want to do more. But I was always too scared to audition for places that were like professional, paid places until I was in college. Then I started auditioning for those and happily, randomly booking those too.
Not randomly.
And so now here I am.
So like, what is your background of like vocal training? That's like what I'm curious about.
I started taking lessons with this sweet woman when I was in high school. I think I was probably 17, and she knew stuff about the voice, but like translating what she knew into English was kind of difficult sometimes.
Oh, okay.
So we would try to like imagine your mouth is a bowl and your tongue is like a flower or something like that, and like you're landing on the note like a butterfly or like a hummingbird or something like that.
So beautiful.
So that was my training at first. It was mostly just like visualize this and sing this. And I was like, okay. And then I had this woman who was very opera trained. And she taught me for a while, for years. That's kind of where most of my training lives, is from this woman. Her name's Claire. She's amazing, and she's so sweet. We're still friends, and maybe she's watching this. Hi, Claire. If you are watching this, I love you.
Yes.
And then in college, I was opera trained kind of again. I like use that loosely because I don't really remember most of the opera training. I just remember like sing. So that was it was a lot of kind of like, I don't know, not traditional, but like really good stuff.
Well, yeah, if it works for you, I feel like that's the important thing in like any kind of training, is like finding someone who speaks like your language. What I think is so cool, and I know we like talked a little bit about it during Mary Poppins too, because I was like, I realized that I wasn't singing healthfully always during Mary Poppins, because I was like trying to create this sound that sounded musical theater-y, that and it was, I mean, I wasn't properly supporting, and I wasn't properly using my instrument because I was trying to artificially create a sound that sounded like musical theater. And I remember asking you and Becca and being like, how do you do this? How do you create this sound? And I think that's like, you know, something that a lot of maybe like opera singers who are maybe trying to go into musical theater maybe struggle with. I feel like I'm not the only one.
No. Mixing is really difficult. Even for people who do musical theater.
Yeah.
I get a lot of like, I don't know how to mix.
Right.
And I go, I'm not exactly sure how I create the sound always. I just know that I listened to a lot of Sutton Foster and tried to duplicate what she was doing without being too laser beam out of your nose. But you do need to add your nose in there a little bit. And like, you know, like where it's kind of like you can feel it in your sinuses and still support it with a straight tone. And that's what's, I mean, it's tricky.
Yeah, it's definitely tricky, like having like the breath support that you need to like sing healthfully and like doing that straight tone, because it's kind of like an oxymoron.
Right. No, your voice naturally wants to vibrato.
Yeah.
So
talk to me a little bit about like your playwriting and like how you got into that. Like, because that's like a path that I feel like some actors take, but like not a lot.
Well, I mean, I haven't actually officially written a play or anything yet. I've only written monologues.
Right.
But I am working on a couple plays right now. And I think it just came from having stories that I wanted to see and wanted to be told. And like, you know, being half Asian, a lot of times there aren't many stories about that, that life, about where exactly do you fit, like, of both worlds, basically. And so I wanted to see that story up there. And I knew that if I didn't do it, that I might not.
Yeah.
I feel like the acting or performing industry is really difficult, especially if you're a really sensitive person, and most actors are, I would say. It's hard to be told no. It's hard to go into basically interview after interview, if you're thinking about it that way, and be told no because you're putting yourself out there. It's not like you're being judged from your resume exactly. You're being judged by your monologue, by your song, by
your
the
talent.
choices that you're making, exactly, and your look, and that's difficult. Every so often, there are lulls where you panic and you're like, am I ever going to be in a show again? Was that the last show I will ever do? I'm not ready for that to be my last show. And then, of course,
things happen.
You get like book solid, and then you're like, oh, okay.
Exactly. Or like you're so booked you like can't do like another opportunity that you like want, which is like, again, it's like a good thing, but it's like,
you want to do everything.
Yeah, you want to do everything. And I think like what I've struggled with most, and I think this is what I kind of alluded to in that episode, was like, I want to be okay with telling people like I didn't get into that.
Right.
Instead of like feeling like I need to like hide it from people, or like that there's like a shame in it. Because I think that like shame is a really terrible word and a terrible feeling.
Oh, it is.
Because it's like, there's so, like, what shame means is like self-loathing. And I think like, that's what I want to feel like, oh, I'm embarrassed, or like, oh, I'm like sad. But like, to feel like I'm like ashamed that I didn't get like into a show, like, that's awful.
It's terrible.
I don't think anyone should feel like, I mean, shame is something that I think like everyone should feel, and like, you know, whatever.
It's normal and natural. It's
exactly.
The spectrum of emotions.
Exactly. But like, I wish that shame wasn't something that we as actors felt when we didn't get something, because we shouldn't feel like it was our fault necessarily.
Right.
Because it's not like our fault.
Usually it's not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's just like a vision directors have, or you didn't fit into, or
exactly.
You know.
Exactly. It's rarely like your talent. And I think like that's something that I'm trying to like work through as an artist, is like, okay, like I am enough, and like I have enough, but like I may not be the right fit, you know? And like I think that's something that in talking about rejection that I want to like, feel like,
just change the thought pattern of, I didn't get into this show because I suck.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to think that anymore, and I don't want anyone else to think that.
Don't think that.
I want to do like a whole episode about this, but I feel like you're a good person to like talk to about this, to like warm up a little bit. But like body image and acting, and what it means to like, I don't know, be a performer and like have to look at yourself all the time and compare yourself to other performers. I want to do like a whole like dive into that, because I feel very strongly about like every size and whatever.
Right. Should be represented. I remember the first time I saw a show and went, oh my gosh, there are people on that stage that look like they are my size, was this fall when Hamilton came to town, and the understudy of Eliza came out, and I was like,
oh, I remember you talking about
she
this.
She looks like me, like size and we look the same.
She's not like a size 0.
Right, she's like an average sized person. Yeah. I was so excited. I cried basically through that whole show because there were people who looked like me on the stage, not just in size, but in like
color
and like facial features and stuff too.
Yeah.
It was amazing. but what does that say? Like, I've been doing theater and watching shows since I was 5 years old. I mean, there's like over 20 years of me watching shows and being like, this is wonderful, not thinking much about it. And then I saw somebody on stage who looked like me and I cried about it. Like, There should be more people represented of all different sizes, of all different backgrounds, of all different everything. I mean,
it is something that I feel like needs to be more of a conversation, and especially like because I do think, and I do know for a fact that people in the theater and people in performance settings have a higher risk of developing eating disorders and a higher risk of developing body dysmorphia, again because we're judged so harshly on size and what we look like, and that, again, the thing of like it's not always about talent, which is unfortunately a thing, and maybe fortunately a thing, that it's, you know, you get rejected maybe not because of how talented you are, but then
how you look.
But you know what I mean? It's like there's no way to win, and it's like that's why we feel all this shame.
Right, well,
you
and
know?
then you're confused, like, wait, was I just not, like, thin enough?
Was I not thin? Was I not good enough? Like, what was not enough for them?
I was not whatever enough.
Yeah, and then you start, then there's that spiraling of, like, crying yourself to sleep at
Oh, no.
night.
Oh, no.
Tea break.
My hair's doing weird things.
So is mine. My hair's turning into triangle hair.
Ooh.
Triangle hair.
Anna just redid her hair and it looks so good.
Yeah, look at these roots. You can't even see them. What is the most embarrassing audition you've ever had?
Oh my gosh, no. I have a few.
I want to hear these stories.
I just remember one specifically because I literally cried after my audition. Anyway, so I auditioned for this show about ex-Disney princesses. It was called Disenchanted the Musical, which is delightful. I love it. It's a great show. Anyway, I went in there and I had my music. I was singing a Disney song. I knew exactly what I was doing, but the keyboard was really, really quiet. Oh no. Because they didn't bring a speaker or anything. Okay. And so we were just in this room, this big room with this tiny keyboard to the side. So I'm singing my song and I know it really well, but sometimes if you're singing loud and the music's quiet, like for me, it sounds like it's not in the key that it actually is in. Oh, okay. So I started singing in the wrong key and I didn't notice until later when I was like, then I did notice and I was like, come my little friends as we all sing a happy little working song. Many little voices clear and strong, come and no, it's not right either. And it like I switched keys like 2 or 3 times, and I was like, wait, this is the perfect show for me. And I left and like crumbled inside because I knew I'd done a terrible job, and I cried about it. Oh no! I cried really hard. Oh no! In my car, and like friends came up and were like, Suzie, and I was like, and they were like, oh. I was like, go audition, like just go away from me and have a great audition. I love you. Oh my god. I booked the show. But
there you go. There you go.
Miraculously. But that was a terrible audition. Oh, another audition. I had an asthma attack in the middle of my song. Oh, no. But I didn't want to be that person that's like, I'm sorry, I have asthma, and that's why the song wasn't great today. Because you know those people. Oh, yeah.
We all do.
we just, you know, you have a reason why your song wasn't great. You want to tell someone. Well, they don't always need to know. So I just pretended like everything was cool, but did not get a call back for that show.
No.
It was awful. Oh, yeah, and one other. Got so many. I forgot a headshot. I thought I had it with me. I dropped it somewhere. I don't know, it wasn't there. So I drew a picture of myself. And that was my headshot. It was a self-portrait. Okay, well.
Well, this has been my first interview, so thank you for bearing with me.
And me too, thank you.
As we, I don't know, chatted about important things.
Yes.
So, yay. Thanks, guys. This is Suzie Juul. Okay, oh yeah, where can we find you?
Okay, so I'm pixiedustpartiesmn.com. If you want a princess party, you know you do. Or if you just want to like book me for a wedding event or have me sing a song for your birthday or something, you can find me at Suzie Juul on Facebook, Juul.
Exactly.
And or Suzie.Juul on Instagram. Yeah.
Yay. Go follow her. She's great. She takes awesome pixtures.
Oh, thank you.
You do.
No.
Well, people take awesome pictures of you, but you look great in them.
Thank you.
Yay!
Hooray! This is so fun. Thank you for interviewing me.
Oh my gosh, of course.